Okay, so I want you to imagine that you are standing in a kitchen or a cafe and you're holding a black coffee. Now, we can write a simple function for this, which is going to be define get coffee. And we can say something like print, you are holding coffee. Actually, rather, we can say you are drinking coffee. Now, if we use get coffee like so, you can see it prints, you are drinking coffee, which is great. This is what we wanted, right? Great. But what about if we want to be able to add sugar, maybe add caramel, maybe add milk? There's lots of things you can add in coffee. I personally have my coffee just as coffee, but yeah, some people prefer to have their coffee in different ways. So what if you wanted to add something to your coffee? Well, there's lots of ways we can do this. And one of the ways we can do this is to add a decorator. So what is a decorator? As a matter of fact, we'll turn this into uh, pure espresso, which is just a black coffee. That's all it means. Okay. Now, what do we do now? Okay, so we have get coffee, which is great. If we want to add a decorator, we can do so pretty easily. And a decorator is basically a wrapper that sits around your function. So when you call the function, the decorator says, wait, before you do that, let me do something first. And then after you're done, I'll finish with the original function. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the @ symbol, the pi symbol, and it's like putting a sign on top of our coffee machine that says add milk to everything that comes out of here. So let's take a look at what we can do. So we have our define get coffee right here. So above this, what are we going to have? We're going to have define add milk, which is the name of our new function that we want to add to our original function. And right here, inside of this, we can put get coffee like so. Get coffee like so. There we go. And this is the name of this function. So that's what we're putting inside there. Good. And now we're going to define a wrapper. Inside we can say pairing the milk, and then we can have coffee. So, and then we'll say print. Let's put print uh, delicious. Okay, good. And now we need to return the wrapper like so. So there's a few things happening here. All right. And we haven't actually finished yet. So, but like I'll explain what's happening first, and then we'll talk about what we're missing. So we're making our second function, which is add milk. And to add milk, we're passing a parameter or passing an argument, which is get coffee. Inside of this new function, we're defining a wrapper. And inside the wrapper is the function behavior, which is what we're doing, right? So inside of here is the function behavior. Now to add this to our get coffee, we need to add a @ symbol, which is what I was talking about before. And we're going to add milk like so. Now press enter. You can see it says preparing the milk, pure espresso, delicious. So you can see it says preparing the milk, then pure espresso, then delicious. So we can change the behavior of functions using decorators. The tricky bit really is the syntax and the structure. But if you remember that the function you want to add goes at the top, then inside you create the wrapper and then you close the wrapper using return wrapper. And inside the wrapper should be all the behavior you want to add. Then make sure to add it using a decorator, right? That's all you're going to do. So let's do something else, right? You might be asking, well, why not just add milk code into the function? Why do we have to use a separate function to add milk inside of the get coffee function? Well, think about this like a professional application, like a fitness tracker or a store. You don't want to write check if user is logged in inside every single function, right? Instead, you can write one single line, like a login required decorator, and pop it at the top of any function that needs security. And that way it's much cleaner, it's faster, and you don't have to repeat yourself multiple times, right? And it might even be the case that not every person wants milk, right? This could be something that only some people want. We don't want to have to write a whole if statement inside of our function to check that if we don't have to, right? This is much better. We can write a simple if statement, right? Oh, does user want milk? Yes. Okay, then add the decorator if we want to, right? Super simple, really easy. Okay. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. We're going to do one more example, and then hopefully you'll feel confident with this. Okay, so now that we've begun the recording again, we're now going to be looking at something else. So let's take a look at this. We're going to import time, which is a little bit fancy. We're going to find a start laser cutter, which is pretty dangerous, right? As far as machines go, it can be dangerous. We're going to pass two arguments, which is use status and machine name, like so. Good. Now inside of this, we're going to write f string uh, machine name, like so, is now running. Watch your eyes. Okay. Now, as you know, if we now say start laser cutter, well, we need to pass some arguments. Let's say use status is 1 and machine name is huge, huge saw. You can see now it says huge saw is now running. Watch your eyes. User status is not being used yet, but yeah, don't worry about this for now. Okay. So what we need to do now is we need the logic for the plug. We want to make sure that there is a smart plug that checks for a safety badge before we run our huge machine, our huge laser cutter. So we need to make the logic for the plug. And we can call this a decorator. It takes our original function, the machine, wraps it in a security check, and we're going to use args and quads, which are the names of these two things, args and quads, like so, because this plug needs to be able to fit any machine, no matter what information the machine requires. So let's take a look at what we can do here. Now, I'm going to now define this. So this is going to be define safety safety cert, like so. We're going to pass a function to it, and we're going to say define a wrapper. And a matter of fact, I think we need to pass this into it. Right? Yes, we do. There we go. Okay. We're going to define the wrapper, which is going to have user status and also args and logs. You don't need to know what this is, to be honest. This is just letting it so that our application works. But these args and quads are related to passing arguments to our function, like so. Good. So we're now going to say, oh, is there something wrong with this? Args and quads? I don't think so. Ah, yes, there is something wrong. Okay, define. There we go. Define wrapper. Okay. Now we say print, checking safety credentials for user status. And since we're using variables instead, we need to make sure this is an F string. So we can do that by typing an F there. And we're gonna make this go to sleep by 1 millisecond. I think this is actually 1 second. I'm not too sure, but a short amount of time. And inside of this, we're gonna write some more information. We're gonna say if user status is equal to certified, then we can say print access granted. Else, we're going to say print access denied. Good. This is a more complicated one than last time, but that's fine. And of course, if this happens, we're going to return the start laser cutter, like so, and we're going to pass the user status, and I'll just copy and paste this from here, args and quarks, like so. There we go. Now, this should be everything. I'm just double checking. Oh, we need to do one more thing. We need to return the wrapper. Return, which is so good. And on top of this, we need to now use our decorator. So we're going to say at, oh, I think it's our wrapper, right? Wrapper. There we go. Am I wrong? I think I am wrong. Let's take a look at my, there it is. It's actually this here. By safety set. There we go. Okay. Now, if we press play, what happens? You can see that it says access denied because it needs to be equal to certified. So if the user status is equal to certified, so we'll change it now, certified. So then it's going to say, yes, huge sort is now running, watch your eyes. So you can see how we added a safety check inside of our start laser cutter function like so, which is not too difficult. Pretty easy, matter of fact. Now we can do a few things, right? We can add something like this. Do you think this is going to work? I don't think so. Why? Because it's a guest account. You can add this. Is this going to work? I think so. I think it will work. Yeah, it's running, so watch your eyes. Great. We can also do something like this inside. Where is the time sleep? Okay. Do print just to make it look better. Print. We'll do this times 20. Okay, let's see if that works now. Okay, because now there is a little line between each of these, which makes more sense. So hopefully this makes sense. The reason why we added these args and quads is so that we can take in some parameters like so. That's the only reason. If we didn't have this, well, I'll show you what happens. It will not work. You can see, takes one positional argument, but two were given, right? So yeah, we need to write args and quads like so. Args and quads, which are strange names, but that's what they've been called. So when we have parameters or arguments we need to give to our function, yeah, we need to make sure we use args and quads. So again, this is our original function, like so. Then what we did was we made a second function, define safety cert. Inside of this, we define the wrapper, like so. We close it using return wrapper, and then we attach it to the original function using @safety_cert, which is the name of the function. And inside we write the checks. So we say, yeah, we're going to print the safety credentials. We're going to sleep for a bit just to make it look like it's real, like a real check. Then print the line break, then a conditional to check if the user status is certified. Great. And we can call the function and it uses everything. So then it uses this function and also it uses this function because we've added it as a decorator on top. So that should be pretty easy. This isn't an easy topic. This is quite a difficult topic. So if you're having trouble with this, that's fine. Read it again or watch the video again, look online. There's lots of things you can do to help yourself. So yes, I'll see you guys in the next lesson, and hopefully this was easy to understand. The worksheet is a little bit easier than this, to be honest. So you shouldn't have too much difficulty with the worksheet. Let me try and find the worksheet if I have it. No, I don't have it right now. But the worksheet is a little bit simpler than this. This isn't going to be, it's not going to be as difficult as this. The worksheet is slightly easier. And matter of fact, the worksheet will be using Coffee, I believe, as a, actually not Coffee, we'll be using databases and loggers. Yeah, so a little bit of a different context, but yeah, you should have fun. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson, and yeah, have a wonderful time. Goodbye.